the health process and the health journey doesn't have to be sugar-coated always. I think a lot of the kids and the teenagers can handle and like they want to know things of like they want to know the process and like what the treatments are looking like. It's gonna be upsetting. It's a very, like, upsetting, it's a very sad process. Sometimes knowing, exactly what's happening leaves the stress and anxiety of, like, wondering.
Welcome to the Inheritance of Hope podcast. Every day, 562 children lose a parent to terminal illness. They shouldn't have to face that alone. You can pretend to avoid the painful realities of illness, grief, and death, or you can deal with the real stuff in caring community. On the podcast, people in Inheritance of Hope's community share raw, personal stories of pain, trials, and the shadow of death, which are also stories of joy in terminal illness. Find more Inheritance of Hope community at inheritanceofhope.org.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Schneider. I am currently a senior at Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology. And then after graduating in May, I will be moving to Bloomington, Indiana, to work in a research and development lab at a pharmaceutical company.
That's so exciting. I'm so glad that you are on the podcast today. I always love starting with the question, how did you hear about Inheritance of Hope?
My dad had cancer in 2014, and we got to go on a retreat. I'm an only child, so I know a child going through a cancer diagnosis with their parent can be hard in general, but I truly felt alone. I mean, coming from a small town, none of my friends' parents had cancer. I didn't know anyone that had cancer, and so I ended up finding out like one of the teachers at my elementary school, she had cancer and she got through her diagnosis, was living cancer free. And so for Inheritance of Hope, she was my outlet. And I think it's really important for people to have that. And I'm really glad that we have Inheritance of Hope and I was able to find that. And I just remember on our retreat, one of the volunteers was hanging out with me and she was playing games with me and she gave me stickers to decorate my name tag. And I just remember the first day, oh my gosh, like she's the most amazing person in the world. We're going to be best friends. Ever since that day, I was like, I just can't wait to be 16. And I had turned 16. I had signed up for my first retreat, and then that was right when COVID hit. The retreat had got canceled, and I ended up doing online retreats, which was really good. And like, I feel like it gave me a good way into the retreats of like having the experience and like knowing what happened. When I got to go on my first in-person retreat, I was just so excited.
Since that first one, how many retreats have you been on?
I try to do 2 a year. So I want to say I've done 6 in person. I signed up to go to the Houston retreat in spring of 2026.
It's so special and incredible how you have this experience of having a parent with a diagnosis and feeling so alone and isolated. An only child in a small town, none of your friends had this happening in their world. And for you to go and find that with other people and then also continuing to foster that so other people feel less alone, that is such a beautiful gift. I love that you're so passionate about it too, because it's so needed.
My mom actually volunteered on her first retreat this summer. I think my parents were letting the volunteering be my thing for a while. And I finally realized my mom loves volunteer work. She's where I got it from. I was like, you can like volunteer on a retreat with me. She's like, okay, sign me up. I'm like, I did.
So with, your own personal story, apart from like volunteering, obviously having a parent diagnosed with a terminal diagnosis is a trial. In the midst of trials, it's still possible to feel like God's favorite child. Have you ever read Consider It Pure Joy?
Yes.
That is the book that the co-founder of Inheritance of Hope wrote. And as she was going through her own terminal diagnosis, going through treatments, having 3 kids that she knew she was going to be leaving behind, she was convinced that through the fire that she was God's favorite child just because of how special she felt and how loved and taken care of, she felt, by the Lord in the midst of your own trials. What were glimpses of being loved as God's favorite child in your own story?
I think for me, it was just how many people got put in our lives and how I didn't know their purposes before then, but just how many people stepped up for us. I feel like I don't have a very big immediate family. A lot of our closer family members lived further away. And so I feel I have an adopted family of so many people, neighbors that would pick me up from school or let me sleep over at their house when my dad was downtown getting cancer treatment, people that would drive me to the cancer center and so I could be with him. Or even at the cancer center, he went and got all of his treatments in Indy. There were so many activities. I feel like he got most of his treatments in the winter. And so we would get canceled from school because the snow was really bad and I would go with him. And they had craft carts. My dad's not a very crafty guy, but I would sit there doing crafts and I was the happiest person ever. Just being able to spend time with him and have something to occupy my time and not be super worrying because I was really young at the time, like fourth and fifth grade. But it was just such a special moment and how many people were intentionally placed in my life just to make the things go better, the time go better and things like that.
What you just described, it's not the absence of trials or difficulties, but it's the presence of beauty in the midst of them. You're at this cancer center for your dad's treatments. And in the midst of that, you get to color with your dad or you get these craft cards and just getting to see the blessings in the midst of the suffering and in the trials it's a definitely hard thing to notice, but it is a skill you almost have to develop. This is so hard. And I'm looking for these things so that I can find the beauty in the trials. And we call it Jaro. Have you heard of
Mhm.
us talking about Jaro? Joy in sorrow. It is possible. Do you have any other stories that come to mind?
One is my dream job is yes, I'm going to work in research and development for cancer pharmaceuticals, but my dream job is to do cancer treatment research. My dad is cancer free right now, which I'm so grateful for. But seeing how all of the side effects have really taken a toll on him of osteoporosis and bone degeneration, or he lost all of his teeth and had to get a full set of dentures before he was 50. And so I think cancer treatment is so hard on people's bodies because of how rigorous it has to be. But I'm really interested in all of the side effects for it and making a less invasive kind of treatment. And I'm a biology major. And so for my thesis project for my undergrad, I'm studying cisplatin and the neurotoxicity from it. And so I think for me, yes, his cancer treatment was so hard, but it was such a blessing to be connected to Inheritance of Hope. It inspired me for my career path and my future goals. And so I think it's such a joy for my life because I love researching and I love learning all of these things with hope that there could be a difference in the future.
That is so beautiful. And you've been shaped by this hard thing, and what the enemy intended for evil, God meant for good. And that just feels like it captures your story of there's this bad thing like cancer. I think nobody would say cancer is this amazing, wonderful thing that happened, but actually, there's been some amazing, incredible things that happened in my life through cancer. Not to give it credit because it is a terrible thing, and I don't want to make this feel like it's lighter than it actually is. But I feel like you're such a living testimony of what was intended for evil has actually been transformed and used for good.
Mhm.
I don't want it just to be insensitive to the fact that there were hard moments. So, I want to give you the microphone. What were some moments of darkness or heaviness that you experienced along the way?
For me, it was just the real feeling of aloneness of I didn't really have anyone who I felt I could talk to. And I think one thing that I felt, and I know a lot of other people feel it as well, people feel like they can't speak to their parents about their feelings because they're already going through so much. One of your parents is diagnosed with cancer or ALS or this really life-threatening disease, and your other parent is working and taking care of them and kind of filling all of the roles. And I couldn't put that added pressure on of I feel this way or this really upsets me or asking questions or things like that. And so I think for me, it was just the feeling of I'm by myself. I need to take care of my feelings on my own and I need to process this on my own. I wish I would have known sooner, like I could talk about my feelings. And I think if I expressed my feelings about how I felt, my parents would have expressed, like, we feel that too, like, and talking about it more.
So insightful, because I think that there are going to be parents listening who are either the caregiver or the diagnosed parent who are like, I want my kids to talk to me. And I also know that it's going to be hard for them to approach because they don't want to add to my burden. So I guess if there's a parent listening from your experience, what pieces of advice would you give those parents? Like, what would make it easier for their kids to approach them with the burdens and with the emotions that they're carrying?
If, like, they're at an appropriate age, like, share things with them. Like, the health process and the health journey doesn't have to be sugar-coated always. A lot of the kids and the teenagers can handle and, like, they want to know things of, like, they want to know the process and, like, what the treatments are looking like. It's gonna be upsetting. It's a very, like, upsetting, it's a very sad process. Sometimes knowing, exactly what's happening leaves the stress and anxiety of, like, wondering, and so you can be sad with the process and not have, like, the anxiety building up. I don't know what's happening, I don't know what's gonna happen next and things like that. But I think just, like, asking them, like, making sure that they know you're a resource and, like, I feel like sometimes I get overwhelming with people and I'm like, "I'm here for you. Like, please, like, let me know if you need to talk." But sometimes people need to hear it a lot of times, like, before they actually believe you. And so I'm definitely a person to say it a lot of times, and maybe the 7th time they'll answer me and they'll talk, but even if they don't, that's okay. I just think making sure their presence is known is really important.
As you were talking, I was reminded of a story. So I'm a certified child life specialist, and child life specialists do a lot of education and preparation in developmentally appropriate ways. That's a huge core piece of the job. And I remember during my internship when I was new and not great at the job yet, because it was all training, I would be on my own for some parts of it. And I would go into rooms and I would ask the kids, do you have any questions? You're about to get this surgery, or like, you just got this diagnosis. And of course, their answer is no. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll leave. I don't know what to do with that. And then I was shadowing someone, and they knew from all the years of work that if you ask someone, hey, do you have any questions? It's so hard because, of course, you do, but you might not even know what your questions are. So I remember this child life specialist went into the room and she was like, of course, asked, gave the space, like, do you have any questions? They said no. And she was like, okay, I know you don't have any questions, but is it okay if I just share with you some information that another kid your age last week asked me about this? And then, like, through that, she was like, so this is what the procedure is going to be like. Here's the information. And it made the kid not feel dumb. Like, you don't know these things, because it normalized it. Someone your age literally just asked me this. This is what they were curious about. And I loved that approach. And I feel like that might be a good tip for parents to take away too. Maybe your kids want to talk to you, but they just don't know what they have to navigate, or they don't know what questions to ask. So just even leading with some information, explaining what is going on in developmentally appropriate ways invites questions. Because the blank statement of, let me know if you want to talk, is like, good. Like you said, you need to be really repetitive with that, or you need to lead with information, because that's probably not going to be enough for someone to feel like, okay, now I have this question formulated. Like, you might need to give them a little help.
I also think that cancer diagnosis is so, like, new for so many people, like, even the parents, like, the caregiver or the diagnosed parent. I'm sure they're not knowing things. I'm sure they're asking questions, like, looking things up. Even, like, the parent saying, "I asked this question." Like, "I wanted to know this," because it is probably very similar to, like, what the children or, like, the teenagers are wanting to know as well.
And that just invites them into your world as a parent, like, I have questions about this. I'm scared. If you can lead by owning your own questions and your own emotions, that makes it such a valuable space for your child to then enter in and be like, oh, you're scared? I'm scared too, but I didn't want to bring it up. So I think that really, you normalizing it is going to be a game changer for your kids.
Great.
Yeah, and in the App Store, you can download, it's called Simply Sayin Medical Jargon, and it's developed by the Child Life team at Phoenix Children's Hospital. And that is a great app. I'll link it in the show notes. It has a glossary, it has prep books, it has drawings and pictures. So let's say you have to get an MRI. Will a 4-year-old know what MRI is? No. But they have like, oh, here's a picture of what that machine looks like. Here's maybe what it sounds like. And it has developmentally appropriate ways to describe things as well. So Simply Sayin, it has like the G dropped from the end, medical jargon. So I really recommend that if you need a starting point, and it has questions that people might have in there. So that was a tangent, but I feel like that was really productive. I thank you for sharing all that.
One more thing to add is I really appreciated like being able to go with my dad to appointments. Like being able to kind of see, like sit in the waiting room, like observe. I think I was at that age where like I needed to see things to like understand things or to believe things. It's like being able to like sit with him in treatments or go to doctor's appointments and see exactly what was happening, I think was really like key to my understanding and like my processing.
Yes. And if you give kids jobs to do, that gives them a sense of ownership. So even if you have little kids and they join you, if you assign them tasks of like, okay, your job is to hit all of the elevator buttons and you need to make sure we go to the right floor. So when we go, your job is to press the up button and then 6 because we need to go to the 6th floor. Like something as simple as pressing buttons, if they know it's a task that's solely assigned to them and that they can own, that helps offset a lot of fear and anxiety of being in hospital context. So if you give them jobs or like, your job is to draw me a picture while we're here. And like, I love sunflowers. Your job is to draw me the prettiest picture of a sunflower that you can, or something like that. Involve them, give them tasks, and like let them see what's going on. That's so important. Any other like words of wisdom or tips that you would share?
As like someone who like my dad doesn't have cancer anymore, just like showing up for people. I think a really good like point of this is people always ask like, let me know like if I can bring you anything or like let me know if you need anything, which is a really good question and a really good offer, but people always don't know what they need. So like something that I like try and change myself of like instead of that like let me know if you need anything, it's like when can I bring you this? When can I bring you a coffee? Or when can I come chat? When can I bring you dinner? Is something I think that it kind of takes the pressure off of them. Instead of, oh, let me know if you need anything. It can be a lot to ask for dinner. It can be a lot to ask for those things. But if you're offering specific things of dinner or cleaning a house, if you're offering a task or an item specifically, I think it's a lot less pressure from the parent of having to say, this is what I actually need.
That's even, I heard that a lot as I've been doing this podcast. I've even changed the way that I do it just because I've heard it so frequently, because it takes the emotional burden off or the mental energy off of the person if you can just say, hey, I'm going to do this. Last week I was sick and you can probably still hear it in my voice. I'm still recovering, but I was super sick and I was like kind of useless. I wasn't able to get up and do much. And a friend texted and she was like, I made soup. Can I drop it off for dinner tonight? And like just a porch drop off, like it didn't require anything. And it was so hard for me to say yes. I was even thinking like, I should say no and just make my own soup. And I'm like, I can't get off the couch. I'm too sick. Because she phrased it like that, it was hard, but I could accept it. It was much easier. But if she would say, hey, you're sick, can I do anything? I would have been like, no, I'm fine. I would have been proud or something. So yes, definitely change the way you're offering things, because if you just say, let me know what I can do. Not really actually helpful. This has just been so sweet. You're wise beyond your years. You're just have so much valuable insight. And I really, really hope that no matter who's listening, whether, you're the parent or the teen or whoever, just hears what you have to say and is inspired to get involved with Inheritance of Hope and to lean into this community. I guess, do you have any other final words that you want to share?
No matter what side you're coming from. I can't think of a more like fulfilling experience that I've had in my life. I bring up Inheritance of Hope with anyone and everyone. Everyone should know about it, whether you're looking at volunteering, like you're a family interested in going. I'm not going to say it's an easy experience. It's very difficult. I think being vulnerable is one of the hardest things you can do in life. But I think once you take that step to volunteer or to be a family going on the retreat, that it's going to be the most amazing experience you've ever had.
This is just kind of the work that stays with you and impacts you. Whether you are going and you're studying how to research these cancer treatments to make it better, or you go into social work, or you want to be a child life specialist or someone to like lean in and step into these stories. No matter what, I feel like you're changed for the better through the process of hearing the stories from Inheritance of Hopes. Well, thank you so much, Mackenzie. This has been such a joy. I hope many people are inspired by it.
Thank you for having me.